Checking In with Anthony and Glenn is brought to you by HD Supply.
It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you wanna be. It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn.
Hey, Anthony.
Sup, Glenn? How are you, buddy?
I'm doing so well today because I get to hang out with you and record another great show at Checking In.
At Garden City Hotel.
That's right. We are at the Garden City Hotel, and I love that this is our home away from home, especially now, Anthony, during holiday season.
And you know what? Talking about holiday season, today's Monday. Thanksgiving was obviously Thursday. Then Black Friday. So I had an excuse to eat on Thursday, I had an excuse to eat on Friday, I had an excuse to eat a lot on Saturday, an excuse to eat on Sunday. And I was just mentioning to you, I just had 3 breakfasts this morning, and it's not even... What, 11 o'clock?
No, it's not. But I got to tell you, if you like food, Anthony, then you're probably going to want to be here for their Christmas
I hear
Eve
commercial
dinner.
coming on. I hear commercial.
No, this is not a commercial as much as it's an honest sharing of great events happening
And you know what?
at the Garden City
To be quite
Hotel.
honest with you, they allow us, the Garden City Hotel allows us to do our podcast from here. So every once in a while, we like to say nice things about them because they're a really good hotel.
We sure do, and they even gave me a cup of coffee, which is why I'm so energized this morning. So they got this great Christmas Eve dinner on Monday, December 24th, served in the Red Salt Room. That's really cool because that's the David Burke restaurant. And Christmas Day brunch, there's going to be a great brunch in their grand ballroom. Reservations are available for 11 and 11:30, 2 and 2:30 that day for $107 plus cracks and gratuity. Love that Christmas Day brunch.
And you know what? I'm not a Christmas brunch guy because I have Christmas at home. Mm-hmm. But if I was going to go out to have Christmas brunch, and this is not a commercial, this is legit. This is a beautiful hotel in a beautiful location, and it just feels like the old world hotels that you should have like Christmas Eve brunch in. Like it just feels that way.
It sure does. It's very classic. It's very historic, and it's a big part of Long Island hospitality culture for sure.
Huge.
All right. So before we get into today's topic, I do want to make a plea. How about let's have some Hanukkah brunches and stuff like that. I make a really, really good potato pancake, and I would really like to roll that out, I think, to brunches everywhere. So if you want some of the Haussman potato pancakes, then I'm your guy.
Okay, so that means that as an Italian, I have to talk about meatballs.
Yes.
And I do not make good meatballs. I have never made a meatball from scratch. I watched my wife and my mother and my mother-in-law when they were alive, and they made it. But now my sister-in-law and my wife make them. But I am absolutely committed by the end of the year to make the best meatballs anyone's ever tasted. I actually was thinking about that. So you're a Jewish guy. You make potato pancakes. I'm an Italian guy. I'm going to make meatballs.
I hate to break it to you, Anthony, but I've also made more meatballs in my life than you have. Just this fall, I've been working on meatballs. I'm not a creative guy in the kitchen. I'm more following the rules, the recipes. But I found some great recipes online, and I'm really having a lot of fun creating great
meatballs. Unless you get a certification from an Italian grandmother, please put down the meatballs.
No.
Please put down the meatballs, okay? Don't be messing with our meatballs.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Is that cultural appropriation if I make
I think
meatballs at home?
I think it is. Jewish people give their meatballs. That'll be the next thing that comes out.
To be fair, for those of you folks that are listening around the world, if you don't know Long Island culture, it's really very, very Italian and very, very Jewish. So both of the cultures have intermingled, and except for what I always call the Jesus factor, they're very, very similar.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you. After this podcast, I'm going to make a potato meatball.
Yeah, a great potato meatball. That sounds good.
You make potato pancake or make a potato meatball?
Yeah, excellent. We also call that kreplach, but we'll get to that in a future. We'll get that to a future show.
Why is it always? What is that?
It's just that those Middle East languages and stuff like that. I always grew up being able to do the, very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah, I do that when I'm about to.
All right. I thought we were going to have to put another explicit
topic of today, my friend?
I think our topic today is going to be great stories that we've seen in the news in the last couple of weeks.
Well, there's actually an article I was reading this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
It was a really good article. And it was in the USA Today.
Oh.
And I love the USA Today.
Who doesn't?
And yes, I actually do. I like it a lot. I actually like those features at the bottom, those little surveys. What are those called? What the surveys?
The polls? Oh,
The polls.
no. Yeah. Where
the
they have the little
bottom.
charts and graphs.
Yeah, I literally buy the paper just for the charts and graphs.
I miss that because I haven't seen actual USA Today's because they're not really
Airports.
around in hotels
Airports.
anymore. Airports for sure.
That's where I get mine. All right, so in this article it says hotel secret number 1.
Yeah.
Who owns the damn hotel? Do you want to tell me, Glenn? Should I read this?
You could read it because I can't say that I know who owns the hotel.
It's a question of real versus perceived ownership.
It sure is.
This is the real key to understanding how to be a winner when staying in hotels. Who truly owns and operates them? Well, I don't have to read the article to tell you. Me and Glenn could probably talk about this off the top of our head. The person that owns the hotel is not the brand. Brands have gotten out of the hotel business a long time ago.
Right.
They're in the fee generating business.
And this is a complete misnomer. Just this morning, I got an email from a concerned guest that didn't like some of the policies that were going on at a very specific hotel in a specific location where they're asking for IDs, claiming that it was state law that you needed to photocopy the person's ID. They called up the brand, thinking that the brand owns the hotel, and they were told there's nothing that they can do. It's an independently owned and operated business. And I feel as if folks don't see enough that they don't understand that the difference is between, they go to McDonald's and think McDonald's owns the company. They go to any particular hotel brand, they think that brand owns the company. No, they're all independently owned businesses, just like your Supercuts, just like your Most Caribbean.
Marriott in Newark, it's owned by a different owner than the Marriott in Orlando? Get out of here.
Yeah, it's very true, unless, of course, that owner owns both of them.
Right.
Which is
so yes,
possible.
and there's good and bad about that, right? It's good because owners bring their own little flavor to a brand, but more importantly, the brands aren't in the owning business, but they are in the management business, and they are in the standards business.
Right. And additionally to the brands being in the management business, there are also many companies that specifically focus on managing hotels. Those have come into the fore over the last couple of decades as the hotel companies have divested themselves from hotel ownership. We saw this happening in the 1990s, Anthony, where a lot of the hotel companies said we don't want to be tethered anymore to the operations part of it. We're going to sell off the real estate components.
So if I don't own the building and I don't manage the hotel and I'm Marriott, what the hell do I do? And I'll tell you what they do. Actually, I'll have Glenn tell you what they do.
They just charge you fees.
They charge you fees for your reservation system.
For marketing.
For the name on the building.
Best practices.
Basically, when you build a hotel, you may be a contractor, you know how to build one, but you don't know where do you get the furniture.
Right.
So there's a whole catalog. If you're a Marriott Courtyard, there may be 3 or 4 different products that you have to choose from. This is the color of the furniture
That's right.
that you can choose from. These are the things you have to have in the room. You have to have a coffee maker. You have to have an ice bucket, yada, yada, yada.
They provide They provide you those standards, and they provide you the ability to get the stuff that you need as well.
Right, which is a big deal. However, when you drive down the street, when you see Marriott, Mr. Marriott isn't pouring the coffee in the morning. I can guarantee you that.
No, it's really it's really sad because he pours the best coffee.
Did I ever tell you the Marriott paint story?
No.
I was at Nickelodeon, and Marriott was thinking about taking over the hotel with us. And they said Mr. Marriott was coming in. And they said, so what do you do when the owner of Marriott comes in? What's the first thing you do if you're a hotel Joe manager?
First of all, you get really excited, and then you...
No, you get really shit scared. You don't get excited, Glenn. The last thing you do is get excited.
The Bill J.W. Bill Marriott still goes to over 100 hotels
Absolutely.
a year.
Absolutely.
So he's freaking out a lot of hoteliers around the world.
And what's the one thing you shouldn't do when he's about to arrive? There's Joe managers in their cars right now shouting at us, going, "Paint, don't paint," because he's told me that he had more suits with paint stains on it than anybody alive, because everybody paints. Because that's the first thing I did was paint.
Right.
But then I was told the story before he got there, and I was like literally going around with fans making sure there was no paint. And the second thing on this list is, Those resort fees.
Ugh.
Oh my God.
You know how much I hate those resort
And
fees.
I hate to say it, but I was one of the first hotels in the country to have a resort fee down in the Nickelodeon again in Orlando. We're not making a lot of money
Right.
because kids are in school 8 months a year, and we needed to fill some. We need to have some cash. We kept on having cash calls for owners, which means the owner has to go in their pocket to give us cash.
Mm-hmm.
So we came up with a resort fee, and you got internet service, and you've got air. You were allowed to have air, and we gave you a TV, and we gave you a front door.
Right, that's nice.
And we allowed you to go down our slides, and we gave you water. So we gave you some things, but resort fees, and I hate to say it, resort fees are just made up. We just try to incorporate the newspaper and internet and all that stuff just in a bottle of water just to get that extra cash. Now people say, well, why resort fees? Why not just add that rate to the room? It doesn't work that way.
I'm one of those people because
tell you-
I find that it creates a negative relationship with the guest.
Well, you've never run a hotel, my friend.
No, I haven't, which is why I'm the yang to your yin.
Okay,
You
well,
know?
this is the deal. Mm-hmm. You can't add anything into the rate anymore because it's dynamic pricing.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? So if your rate is $269 tonight and your competition went up to $329, so now you go to $329 and then you add $30 on top of that. So now you're $359, your competition $329. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
So you have to have a resort fee, and once the guest allowed us to get away with the resort fees, we kept on charging resort fees.
And they're going up.
Unfortunately, people allowed us to get away with it. I don't like them as a consumer. As a hotel operator, I like them because that's money that goes directly to the bottom line. And listen, at the end of the day, I want to keep the hotel alive so you can keep enjoying great service that we provide.
It's the same thing as baggage fees, right? It's the same kind of
When was the last time
idea.
you heard of an airline going out of business?
Right. Well, they don't.
10 years ago, they were all
Anymore.
going out of business.
Yeah.
Now, do you know they make more money on baggage fees than they do on airline tickets?
Yeah, they sure do. They make billions and billions a year on those baggage fees alone, which is why you're seeing a lot of even JetBlue now is starting to charge for bags where they were a holdout. I think Southwest is the only ones that are not charging at all anymore for the first two bags.
Well, I am a proponent of resort fees from a hotel operating standpoint. From a guest standpoint, I hate them. However, if you're going to be a general manager hotel and you're going to have resort fees, make sure that they're real. Make sure that you're giving people value. Make sure you're giving them a big bottle of water. Make sure you're giving them
That's
free
right.
internet. Make sure you're giving them a newspaper. Maybe give them some coffee in the morning if you don't include complimentary breakfast.
I am sick and tired of resort fees being an excuse to bundle in all of the services that I do not want and do not care about.
Yeah.
I am sick and tired of having to walk into a room and seeing that bottle of water that's prominently displayed on the countertop, but then they want to charge $8 to $10 for it. I'm sick and tired of slow internet service. I want fast internet service if I'm paying a resort fee. I want that free cup of coffee, and I want them to treat me as if I'm a real guest, because sometimes I feel like I'm getting nickel and dimed, and these resort fees kill me. I remember when the resort fees first started, they started including things like free phone calls, like anyone's using phones anymore in the rooms. And in the Las Vegas casinos, they have a notary service that you can use for the resort fee. So I'm trying now, whenever I go to Las Vegas, to go and try to find the notary. And if I can't find the notary, I demand that they take off my resort fee.
You're a pissed off guest.
Because I'm so, as a guest, it really annoys me. And again, I understand where you're coming from the operational side of it, but as a guest, I think it's like, screw you, customer. I think it's such an angry thing to do to the guests, and I think it sets them off on the wrong way.
Right.
If you're creating a hospitality experience and then you're nickel and diming for these things that are supposed to come in with it, especially if I stay at XYZ place that has the name resort in it, and then you charge me a fee that I have to pay, that just
I am the last person to really want to put resort fees. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm the last person to want to put resort fees into the bill. However, my job is to keep the hotel open, and I'm going to give you real value for those resort fees, but they're a necessary evil. The cost of hotels are going up and up. Real estate taxes, water, heating, salaries, benefits. They're astronomical.
Right.
I said astronomical.
And
With ASS. Astronomical.
That's what I thought you said.
Right.
It wouldn't be a checking in without the explicit rating.
Listen, there's 3 or 4 hotels in New York City we were talking about the other day.
Yeah.
In Times Square with big brands attached to them making the most revenue they've ever made.
That's right.
And they can't make a profit.
There's a lot of factors
They can't
that
make
you
a profit.
just mentioned.
Now, you look at it and you say, well, the union in New York City, a housekeeper at full rate makes about $40 an hour. Okay? So what's 40 times 40 or 40 times 35 times 52 weeks a year?
Right.
Do the math.
I would, but I can't do it.
You
in
don't
my
have a
head.
phone?
Oh, I have a
On your
I
calculator.
have a phone.
Do it.
All right, if I can
Okay?
find the
Plus, you're doing that plus medical benefits, plus they have some college benefits.
right.
They have retirement benefits.
Mm-hmm.
It costs a lot of money. I am the first person to say the union members deserve every penny of it.
Yep.
But I'm also, as a general manager and a steward of the business, saying we got to make up those. If I'm going to pay my housekeeper $40 an hour,
$72,800 a year.
so if you're a
Plus
housekeeper,
benefits.
So if you're a housekeeper in New York City, you make over $70,000 a year to clean rooms,
Plus
which I
tips.
think plus tips, which I think you should. You absolutely should. And I don't want to take one penny away from a housekeeper or anybody else that's raising a family. With that said, we have to keep the hotels open in New York City. And if we have, we had 72,000 or 73,000 rooms or 80,000, I'm not exactly sure of the number, 5 years ago. We had 80,000 room nights, say, 5 years ago in New York City. We have 120,000 room nights now, meaning you have 120,000
Rooms that have to be sold every night.
that need to be sold every single night in New York City. Okay, so that means there's still great demand. Over 60 million people came to New York City. So there's still great demand. That means the owners are getting richer. Okay, I know a lot of owners in New York City, and they got a lot of money, my friend. Okay, but they got to keep those hotels open, and they're going to take their fee. They're going to take their management fee. They're going to take their profit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the union members should definitely get their profit, but that profit is getting lower and lower and lower and lower. The owners are still rich because they're opening more hotels. You can't open only one hotel in New York City anymore and make money. You have to open 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Like almost any franchise business, you don't make money on the first McDonald's. You start making money on like the 10th McDonald's.
So I don't like resort fees either, but I am not actually going to flip out like my friend Glenn.
I am, and I'm going to finish this with the ultimate way to end every single argument. I will say, but still. So there, I win the argument. That's how it goes. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come right back after this message. Hey everybody, Glenn here. So listen to this. Cobblestone Hotels is celebrating their 10th anniversary, and man, have they accomplished a lot in the last decade. Already they have more than 150 hotels throughout the United States, but they're in smaller and medium-sized markets. Those markets that the big franchise companies, they're underserving, they're overlooking, and in some cases just ignoring. But Cobblestone is an expert in these markets. And their president and CEO, Brian Wagernes, listen, I've gotten to know him in the last 10 years, and he has worked every job possible, including being an owner and operator. I can personally vouch for how awesome this company is, how awesome he is as an individual, because he understands the importance of finding the right combination of hotel brand and franchise owner. He's also an incredibly dedicated professional. Whether it's a Cobblestone Hotel and Suites Main Street design, Borders Inn and Suites, or one of the newly acquired brands such as Boulders Inn and Suites, Key West Inns, Centerstone Inns and Suites, Cobblestone has brands that range from economy to upper mid-tier, and one that's right for you. Quite simply, Cobblestone Hotels is the franchise for franchise owners. Patrick Mullenix, well, he's Cobblestone's new president of franchise development. Give him a call or check out their website at cobblestonefranchising.com. But give Patrick a call. He's a great guy. I've known him for a really, really long time, too. You can find him at 920-216-0620. That's cobblestonefranchising.com. And tell him Glenn sent you. And we are back. Anthony, you want to continue?
I do want to continue with hotel secret number 3 from our USA Today article, which I enjoyed reading over the weekend. Book hair. I can't book hair. I don't
that's
have
something
any.
you need to do.
Book here, not there. Book here, not there. Okay.
I'm just picturing what you look like with hair. I got to see a picture of you back in like high school or something.
Oh, I have it on my website.
I got to go check
and
that out.
And also on my Instagram.
And how do we find you on Instagram?
And Anthony Hotels.
Right.
And I'll pull it up for you in a few minutes.
Yeah.
book here and not there. What does that mean? That means that book the hotel directly. Do not book third parties. Now, there's nothing wrong with Expedia and Booking and Booking.com and all the others.
We love you.
But we've said it 100,000 times, especially if you want to advertise on our podcast. But we said it 100,000 times that when you book the hotel directly, you do better. Meaning, when you want to cancel, it's easier to cancel. Isn't that right, Glenn?
It sure is. And I think you should just, when you say book direct, don't even worry about booking brand.com. Call the physical hotel. Nobody does that anymore. You're going to create a relationship with the people already at the property level. And beyond that, I think that you're going to have a chance to negotiate a better deal for a room.
And most importantly, they'll know your name. They'll put in comments that you called. They'll put in comments, maybe it's your birthday, if you say it's your birthday. They'll put in comments that you want a higher floor, that you book directly. They appreciate it because it saves them money, because booking through hotels and Expedia costs them up to 20%
Right.
Of the rate. So if you're paying $200, 20% of that is going to bookings to Expedia. So they appreciate you calling the front desk. And again, as I said before, hotel people are hospitable.
Yeah, and I will
I'm sorry, Glenn is laughing because I just held up a picture of me with hair.
I love that picture.
You like that?
Yeah, it is.
But I have a Christ head on my neck because every kid in Brooklyn had a Christ head on their
Well,
neck.
yeah, you had to.
You like it? But come on, I was even fashionable back then.
No,
Look at
you're
that
looking
shirt.
great. I love it. You were wearing plaid before.
Look
the
at my
plaid
cross.
era.
When I was in high school, I had a really bad cross eye. I still have it, but you don't see
Right.
it as much.
No, yeah.
You see it?
I do. It's like you're kind of like,
Yeah, like-
almost winking at
You're
me.
making fun of me now. You're
No,
actually
no.
making fun of my cross eye.
I'm not making fun of your cross. I am encouraging it. I want it to flourish.
You want it to
Anthony.
flourish? Actually, when I get very tired and pissed off, my cross eye comes out.
All right. So back to the topic. I don't want to get any cross-eyed from him. Ooh, that's like a prom picture now that I'm taking a look at. I love all the visuals on the audio medium that we have here today. So, and the good thing I think, Anthony, about this strategy for the hotel operator is, you can satisfy that guest request, give them a little bit of a discount, and you'll still make more money.
Yeah, end of story. Book the friggin' hotel directly. Call the hotel. Talk to a supervisor. Talk to a general manager. Go online. Look at the rates. If for some reason their rate isn't as low online as the Expedias and hotels, book the hotel. Call the hotel. Book it directly. But even if it is as low, book the hotel directly because you'll have less problems if you have to cancel a reservation, and it allows people to know who you are. And also, I wanted to tell you, go to social media, go to Facebook, go to Instagram, and see what's going on in the hotel and develop a relationship with that social media person, because the social media person really wants to show the value to their boss. So they're going to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith's coming in early, and they book directly, and yada, 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 yada. So that's a good way to develop a relationship with the hotel before you get there.
And as important from the other side of it, it's a great relationship for you to create a strong relationship with the guest. And remember, you want them to come back time and time again. This is a great entree in order to create that great relationship with them right off the top.
And you know what's really great? I was reading the article, and I literally was reading it, not realizing who was featured in the article. There's a whole feature on this really, really popular person in the hotel industry, and his name is Glenn Haussman.
Yeah, can you believe
So
it?
I'm reading the article, not realizing they're quoting you. Holy shit! So USA Today's really gone downhill, huh?
It's
They didn't call me; they called you.
It's got to be nearly out of business, and I have no idea why they wanted to speak with me.
Well, I do, because you had the travel writer on our show.
Yeah. That's true. I've actually had Christopher Elliott, the guy who wrote this feature on me. I've had him on the No Vacancy show.
Oh, it's not the young lady?
No, not Nancy. That's Nancy Trejo. So you should listen to our show with her. That was an interesting episode on the state of journalism today and hospitality journalism today. But this is Christopher Elliott. He's a consumer advocate that's out there. So this article was really interesting in the sense that I got to share some of those insider tips that I have about how the hospitality industry fundamentally works,
Right.
which is a lot of fun for me.
And if you're going to have a resort fee, for instance, make sure that people know how to speak about a resort fee. Make sure people understand how to show value for a resort fee. And number one priority, the way to show value, whether you do a resort fee or you don't do a resort fee, is service. The service in our industry, I got to be honest with you. Thank God for Forbes, because Forbes is doing a great job in training people and really bringing back service levels. But I think our service levels in the industry 10 years ago were going up.
Right.
In the last 10 years, I see them going down. I see people completely uninterested at front desks. I see bellman and doorman completely uninterested. And of course, you go to some great hotels and you have great service. But overall, regardless of resort fees or not resort fees, we as general managers, we got to get out of our offices and we've got to start, really hiring and training people, because I've seen service in our industry decline, and I hate to say it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true. Some of these hotels are so busy right now, and they don't necessarily have the staffing to do it. Some of these general managers are asked to do more and more and more.
So what? To do it or quit. I'm sorry. I hate that. I just hate complainers and whiners and people. Well, I don't have the staff to do it. We were at the Plaza Hotel. I had 21 front desk clerks. Okay.
Yep.
And then the hotel was going through bankruptcy. When we first got there, maybe 6 weeks into me getting there.
Right, and this is when you worked at the Plaza, not as a guest.
Right, when I worked at the Plaza Hotel back in the early 90s, I was director of front office operations, and I had about 21 desk clerks, desk agents. I had like 5 after they claimed bankruptcy. We had like 5.
Holy cow.
And like I was tearing my hair out, that's why I don't have any. And yes, I complained for a minute until I got smacked by my supervisor. It was the best smack I've ever got, not physically, but mentally smacked. It was the best smack I've ever got. And it's like, stop whining. Everybody's going through it. If you don't like it, get the hell out of the business. Mm-hmm. And so if you're in the business and you're doing 500 checkouts on a Sunday morning, you're pulling luggage and you're a general manager or you're a supervisor and, you're complaining about it, too bad, get out of the business. Now, if your owner is just being cheap, that's a different story. But if you're just going through some hard time, you're trying to get the business through hard times, that's what you do, man. You get on the floor and you pull luggage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of other tips that I had here before we wrap up on today's show, Anthony. One that I always think is interesting is, and you see this with airlines too, is leverage that loyalty that you have right there. If you're a guest and you've achieved a certain status with a certain hotel company and you want to try out another hotel company, tell them you are at that level with this other company, and a lot of times they'll status match you in order to get you in.
Right. Well, I think there's 2 ways of doing that. One, you can throw your rank around right away, or you can just be pleasant, call them up, talk to them, say you're coming, and they'll look up your profile and see that you're a ranking member of their society.
Right. Or, be like, hey, I'm a diamond member with this particular hotel brand, and I'm not really liking the experience anymore.
Oh, you're saying another hotel.
Right,
I'm
another
sorry.
brand. Right. So if I'm with...
I misunderstood you, Glenn.
If I'm part of one hotel company...
Now I'm like your wife. You're always misunderstanding you, Glenn.
Always misunderstanding me. I feel like you got cameras in our house or something like this at this point. You know a little too much about what goes on behind the veneer of the Haussman household. So anyway, if you're with XYZ Rewards program, which is offered by a particular hospitality company, you can go to another company and say, hey, I'd like to try out your brand. They will more than likely provide you with a status match for a certain period of time to give you that opportunity to try out their hotels.
Very interesting, Glenn.
Yeah, I thought so. Also, another little tip, and I know this sucks for folks that are operating existing hotels, but try out going to some of the newer hotels. They usually have bigger TVs, better Wi-Fi service. They have a lot of these things that have been put into place. I know this one major hotel brand actually started to put up on their website when the hotel opened and when a hotel was last renovated in order to give guests, I guess, a better sense of what the quality and conditions are going to be at the property, while also, I think, subtly kicking the butts of their franchisees.
I was going to say, because if I'm the person that didn't renovate, I'm going to be a little pissed off.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's funny. And, but you know what? That's one of the reasons I lease cars. I lease my cars because I like all the new gadgets every 3 years.
Right.
Like I just got a brand new Volvo. I'm so happy with it because I have new gadgets in it.
Hey, congratulations.
I have people that say, oh, it's a waste of money. I was like, you know what? Every 3 years, I get a brand new car, and I feel good about it because I run those cars, into the ground. I do service on them, obviously. But, I keep them clean and everything, but it's nice to get that new car smell.
Yeah.
So hotels, I love going to new hotels to see what it's all about because you're right. They have new TVs. Now they don't have carpets. They have, wood floors, which I love.
Yep.
Or tile floors, which I love. A lot of hotels don't have carpets anymore. So I enjoy the new new hotel smell.
And the other thing that you can do if you're a hotel customer out there and you like a particular hotel, find out who owns that particular property or manages that particular property.
Why do I care?
Why do you care? Because if such and such hotel company did such a great job, managing this particular property, you had a great experience, you don't have to stay loyal to that specific brand. You can stay at another hotel in another city operated by that management company and get the same level of service.
You didn't get this gig because you're good looking. You got this gig because you're smart.
I got it because I'm so damn sexy, Anthony. Let's be real here.
No, but that is absolutely true. You know what I really like a new trend in the industry?
Yeah.
I love the 3-star hotels where I can go to the front desk, I can get myself a cheeseburger, get myself a scotch, bring my luggage up with the little bell cart there, park my car in front, and just go to bed. Like, I love the fact that my desk clerk can hand me a scotch, hand me a cheeseburger, and hand me my key, and I don't have to come back, and I don't have to call room service. I love that.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
No.
I think the Hyatts, some of the Marriotts. I saw one in Cabo, Mexico, and I just love it. They literally check you in and they make you a hamburger and make you a drink and you go to your room. I love it.
That's beautiful.
I love it. It's so convenient.
Now I want some scotch.
You want some scotch? We'll have scotch after this.
All right, so let's wrap this up and go get some scotch.
Again, I'm not going to say it. You seem bored. I'm not going to say it because you're on to the next podcast.
No, that one was me being wistful about wanting some scotch.
Wistful. Okay. So tell me something we don't know.
Well, no, hold on. Before we do that, we made a promise to folks. If you go ahead and you give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, what we're going to do is we're going to let you know, we're going to read that review on the air. Give you guys a little bit of love for supporting us. And
Can I read this? Let me read the first one. The first one says, I have it right in front of me. It says, Anthony is fantastic. What the hell is he doing hanging out with Glenn? No, it says Anthony sucks, and what is Glenn doing hanging out with Anthony?
Well, the first one was correct, and unfortunately, we got 175 of those particular reviews on this. Okay, the one that I wanted to feature today is, all right, great podcast for all hoteliers. Thank you, Steved12345 Hopefully that's not your password as well. So Steved12345 says, I was finally able to catch up on this podcast after seeing many reminders on Anthony's LinkedIn page. Thanks for doing the social media on that, Anthony. Took a long road trip this weekend and listened to 6 podcasts and was impressed by the content. Oh, actually very impressed. I'm a young hotel professional myself, and I very much enjoy the advice, motivation, and authenticity these two display. I've enjoyed Anthony's work since he's been on Hotel Impossible. His passion for the hotel industry is truly unmatched. I'm a true fan. Keep up the good work, guys. Looking forward to more. Steven from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Is that a podcast or a radio voice?
I think I think podcasting and radio is now becoming so intermingled that I just go into my radio voice all the time these days.
Why don't you just go into your Anthony and Glenn voice? We're just talking at breakfast.
Yeah, well, I will do that next time, but then you'll accuse me of being incredibly disinterested.
So tell me something we don't know, even though I don't really care.
I am the opposite philosophy as you with cars. I am still driving a 2007 Toyota Corolla, which recently just had an awesome accident. So scraped off the whole left side of my car with the door handle and the rear view mirror. So now in order to enter the vehicle, I actually have to get in through the passenger side, click the thing out, and walk around that. Yes, I've got dignity.
I see you pulling up to a 5-star hotel, moderator panel, and you saying, "Excuse me, sir, I gotta get through the passenger side."
That's right. And then afterwards, I pick up the car, give him a couple of crisps, George Washington, and say, "Keep the change."
And it's so funny is, like, I'm not a car person. I just like new cars since now I can afford to lease a nice car. But really, for a long, long time, I had pretty crappy cars. And I remember when I was first married, or maybe 5 years, 10 years into my marriage, I had this car, this Sentra, that I would drive back and forth to the station, and it was so crappy. It was so crappy. The next door neighbor called the tow truck, called the police to get it towed off our block because it was abandoned, and because again the door was hanging, all that stuff. So I don't like spending money on cars, but now that lease payments, you can get a really beautiful car for a pretty low lease payment. Love it.
Yeah. Excellent. So I want to know from you, Anthony. Tell me something I don't know about you. And you know what? I truly do care.
When I was 30 years old, I went up to the Pocono Raceway, and I learned how to race cars at Bertha Rouge. And when I was going onto the track with my little helmet, my little fire suit, they showed us there's 4 cars. They were all station wagon, Volvo station wagons. and we all got into the Volvo station wagons. So what do you think I was thinking about when I was getting onto the track at the Pocono Raceway in a Volvo station wagon?
Why aren't I in a real race car?
Why the fuck am I in a Volvo station wagon?
Yeah.
And the gentleman that was actually, Martin, you know Martin Guitars?
No.
It's a famous guitar company, right?
Oh! I thought you were talking about a guy named Martin
but
Guitars.
do you know the company Martin Guitars?
I know. Yes,
Okay.
I know this. Like the
one
speakers
of the
stuff.
sons
Right.
was in the car with me.
Right. Okay.
And he asked, I believe, saying, "Why are we in a Volvo station wagon?" And he said, "I get that question a lot. Hold on." And we went about 150 miles an hour around this track with the professional driver driving the car.
Right.
My neck didn't move.
Wow.
Nothing moved. It was amazing. This car took that road, and those tires went into that road like nobody's business. And so then we learned how to drive a race car by driving a Volvo, and then we got into the race cars. So guess what kind of car I've driven for the last 15, 20 years?
Sobs.
A Volvo. Good guess, though. And that's what sold me.
Right. That's awesome.
So if they lend those cars to the racetrack to get people to buy them, it was a good idea because I went out and bought myself a Volvo. Because I was literally, and I was driving, when I was learning how to drive, I was driving at 140, 50 miles an hour around Pocono Raceway in a Volvo. It was crazy.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. So, Volvo, if you'd like to advertise on us, drop us a line at Anthony Hotels on social media.
My favorite car.
That's great. So, Andy, let's wrap this bad boy up. How can we find you?
At Anthony Hotels, everywhere you want to be on the internet.
Excellent. And I am at Traveling Glenn, and I want to thank you all for listening. And Anthony, thanks for featuring my article that in USA Today. It was a pretty cool moment for me.
Glenn, it was one of the highlights of my life.
All right.
But more importantly, Glenn, before you get off the air, I got to ask you a question.
Sure.
What's your favorite color?
My favorite color. I don't know if I have a favorite color as much as...
Which favorite color, Glenn?
Green.
All right, thank you. Figures green. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for checking in.
It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you wanna be. It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn.